I'm Brownfield Anchor reporter Meghan Grebner, and we're at the 2023 Farm Progress Show in Decatur. We are in the OPI booth, which is booth 541, if you're making your way here to the show. With me today is Brett Andrix with OPI. Thank you for taking some time to join us and to chat a little bit today.
Of course, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So I think we should start off with giving a little introduction to OPI. What is it and what do growers need to know?
Okay. OPI is a company that was started 40 years ago. Our next 2024 will be our 40th year anniversary, and our founder started on the kitchen table, and they're still there today. So we have a long history of innovation and integrity, and all we do is provide grain management solutions. That's what we do every day, is the technology to manage grain.
So let's talk a little bit about the importance of what that grain management and providing growers with those type of solutions means for them.
Sure. So a grower, as they go through their season, spends a lot of time and effort out in the field to make sure that they maximize their yield. From that point forward, we want to make sure that we maintain and optimize the value that they've worked so hard to create. Because once they put that grain in the bin, that's the most valuable asset on the farm. So we have a range of solutions from that point forward, depending on where the customers are at in their adoption of technology, that we can help them maximize the quality, and it's a safety feature. You don't have to go in the bin. If your grain is in condition, no reason to go in the bin. And then you've got peace of mind. Our system is working for you, and you don't have to worry about turning the fans off and on, so we take care of that for you.
When we talk about the systems in general, let's talk first about who and where OPI is available to growers. Just in the U.S., where is OPI?
We're actually in 75 countries across the world. So Canada, U.S., we have a strong network across both Canada and the U.S. We're continuing to grow that. We focused in the U.S. this year really hard, so we've added a lot of resources and a lot of talent on our team to make sure we focus there. And we're all about our partners. We work through a partner network that is all across the U.S., and that's how we reach the growers.
So let's walk through some of the things that we're going to see here and what folks will see when they stop by your booth.
Sure. So when you start walking through the solutions, one of the things that we just recently came out with is called Blue Lights, coming out soon. This is a prototype. And this is like one of our simpler solutions. As you walk up our value escalator, and you just walk up to the bin, you just plug this in. We have cables in the bin, and it'll give you a reading right there instantaneously, right on your phone. It'll have the history of it, it'll send you alerts, and that way you have at least an idea of what's going on, but you still have to make your own decisions. As you walk up to our full-blown system here, all these components, what they do all together is take the outside readings, relative humidity and temperature, understand what kind of weather we have based on what our targets are, the grain in the bin. We also read the grain in the bin, and all that together is going to decide, hey, we should turn fans on or off, and we'll run them until something changes based on the target set by the user. So again, it's an automated system that makes sure that we optimize the value of that grain in the grain system. And this year we also came out with a CO2 sensor that's right here, and we can read CO2. That's an early indicator of some type of activity that's not positive for the grain, that we can read that in the plenum and the headspace. So depending on whether that gas is falling or it's being pushed up with the aeration, we'll make sure we catch those issues.
When you look at having these types of technologies available to grower, how does that help in terms of on-farm safety and some of those key elements as well?
Yeah, safety is big, of course. We want to make sure that farmers are, they sustain their family farms. And whenever your grain is in condition, there really should be no reason to go in the bin. Farmers enter the bin because grain is crusted or it's spoiled or whatever, and it won't flow properly. So that's when they go in. We want to make sure that never happens. If the grain is in condition, it flows freely, and you don't have to go in because you know what's going on inside the bin. You don't have to go in and test it. They use a lot of different methods to test whether they feel like it's wet or if it needs
something
done to it. We can automate that system and tell them.
The technologies have come a long way.
Absolutely.
In 40 years and even in the last 10 years.
Yep.
Talk to me about how this type of a system advances grain storage management and making sure you're protecting the quality and the integrity of the grain.
Sure. So as grain walks through the whole process, from a farm, it goes somewhere, and then somewhere along the way it's going to be processed or it's going to be blended or something like that. But there's quality care is down the stream somewhere. So what we can do is we can ensure that no matter where they're marketing their grain, we can meet that need, again, based on their targets. Because if something goes out of condition or doesn't arrive at the right moisture or temperature, then a lot of times they end up having to pay a penalty for that. We want to maximize that and make sure that it's as valuable coming out of the bin as it when it came out of the field. Again, that's optimizing the value of that stored grain.
For those who just may be tuning in, we are at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois at the OPI booth. If you're going to stop by throughout the show this week, make sure to stop in booth 541. Brett, as we're wrapping things up and having these conversations and you have things on display here, what are some things that these types of systems do to help kind of improve quality and production all the way through the line?
Yep. So as grain flows through the whole entire system, I mean, quality matters, and that's where we are able to ensure that quality. It's always important to understand what the next step is of where the grain goes, and that's what our system is able to ensure that whatever that market is, whether that's a processor or whether that's going into feed, I mean, it goes into feed, so it's obviously important what's going into the feed because that's what we consume. So if the quality's better all throughout the system, it makes the whole process more efficient. Because if you don't do that, then somewhere along the way, you've got to blend out some of that stuff. If grain's great quality through the whole process, it increases efficiency and safety for everybody involved.
Do producers maybe aren't aware of the technological advancements, and what are some of those education gaps that you have with farmers throughout the country?
Well, whenever we talk to farmers, I mean, it's important for us to understand what their goals are. I mean, what kind of system do they manage? What is their marketing practices? And when we understand that, we can kind of customize our solution to fit those needs. And I don't think that all farmers are aware. They use a lot of technology in the field, but unfortunately, a lot of times we have a lot of farmers that don't have anything in the bin. And what we're talking about this year is why risk it? That investment is everything on their farm. Once it's in the bin, it's the most valuable asset they have, and it funds the entire operation. So why would we want to have a scenario where I'm not going to maximize that grain? And with our system, we're able to ensure that happens for them.
Brett, anything else we need to touch on before we let folks go?
Nope. We'd love for you to come see us at 541 so you can educate you, and we just want to make sure that farmers understand what the opportunities are for them.
And stop by and check out these really cool sized grain bins.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have our platforms on a kiosk back there so we can walk them right through what they'd see on their laptop or phone, wherever they see their information.
Fantastic. Brett, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
From the 2023 Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois, I'm Meghan Grebner for Brownfield.